All right, hello, I am Mr. Rogers,
And I'm Mrs. Froman.
and you're watching the video notes on section 5-2 in your book, so on gymnosperms. And so what are these guys here? So we have weird things like, look like palm trees.
It looks like something out of the dinosaur age.
Yeah. This ginkgo with this weird fan. And these guys I've seen before, typical pine trees.
Christmas trees.
Yeah. So gymnosperms, they are seed plants. All the ones we're studying in this chapter are seed plants. These are the old school seed plants, right? On the evolutionary tree, these would be way back, definitely the time of dinosaurs. But gymnosperms, what's unique about them, they have naked seeds, so they have no protective covering. A lot of seeds you see around have some kind of a shell on them. They don't have that protective shell.
Yeah.
So those type of plants typically have those needle or skate-like leaves, deep growing root systems, and again are some of the oldest type of seed plants on Earth, back 360 million years ago. So
That's pretty old.
yeah, even before the time of the dinosaurs there.
Yeah.
So definitely the first seed plants, we would say.
So we have different types of gymnosperms. Like that first picture we saw, the cycads, those are the ones that really look like dinosaur plants. They have the palm-like leaves, and they produce cones the size of a football, and they grow in the tropical areas. So.
And they're kind of different though, but they're usually not that tall. They're usually, this one's like close to the ground.
They're going to be more not like a palm tree that you think of really tall. It's going to be close to the ground.
And so the next type is what's called a ginkgo. And there's only one type of ginkgo left. It exists in China and Japan where it naturally grows. And they're basically been, I think, kept alive because we've kind of kept them going. Yeah. You can find them here in the United States. They plant them on purpose a lot of times in parks and in parkways because they're good at absorbing pollution. But you do see them quite a bit for ornamental areas in different parks. They planted them on purpose. But they have these really unique fan-like leaves, what makes them really makes them stand out.
Kind of leathery leaves.
Yeah, they're a little different. Yeah.
Then we have neophytes.
Neophytes.
Yes, sounds like some weird horror movie thing. They grow in hot, dry deserts of South Africa, the western United States, and opposite rainforests. So deserts and rainforests is where you find them.
Yeah.
Kind of strange looking, low to the ground, kind of creep along the ground. You can see that one has cones that are a little different looking than what we're used to seeing a cone.
And these can be very old too. You find these guys like in the middle of the Sahara Desert, in very dry conditions. They can find ways to survive. They
are survivors.
The next is our most popular one. Is the conifer trees, evergreen trees. These are cone-bearing plants. Most are evergreen. They include now some of the tallest trees and widest trees, and also the smallest, that New Zealand pygmy, 8 centimeters. Yeah. And the oldest, the bristlecone pine there too. So these giant sequoia are the widest. You've probably seen pictures of a car driving through some of them back in the day. And also the tallest there, you got the coastal redwoods, and all the way down to those little pygmy, 8 centimeters. So they're kind of a broad array of trees.
So some of the characteristics that gymnosperms have, most of them are going to have cones that have the scales covering them, like we think of pine cones. The plants have male and female cones. So the male cones are smaller and produce pollen, which then becomes sperm. So in the springtime, you can see at the ends of the branches little yellow things, and that's what's producing the pollen. That's the male cone. Then the female cone has an ovule at the base of each scale, and that contains the egg cell. So when the pollen gets blown in there, that's when that would become fertilized.
So they pretty much always count on the wind there to kind of carry everything around. So yeah, that pollen. All right, so the pollen will fall from the male cone onto the female cone. And yeah, this is kind of the birds and bees of plants here. So that sperm meets egg, that's when you have the fertilization. And so that turns into a zygote, and that develops into the embryo down there at the base of that seed. So you can see there, that's what we're having now at the base of that seed. You may have seen these scale-like leaves floating around different times. I've seen them.
Tiny.
They're really tiny. They're like little flakes almost.
So pollination is considered the transfer of pollen from the male to the female part. So the pollen collects on a sticky substance on the ovule. So the ovule actually has something to help it catch that pollen that's being blown by the wind. Then once it catches that pollen, those scales will close up and catch that pollen and keep it in there. And that's when the fertilization is going to occur. Then that seed is going to develop on the scale. When the seed is mature, then those scales are going to open back up, and the wind is going to blow those little seeds out.
Yeah, they kind of pop open.
So,
You can see where they
yeah.
mature. They pop open and release everything. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they really count on the wind there a lot too, to even blow the pollen around and also to blow the seeds around. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So 7th grade, we're going to stop there. We'll talk more about this in class. But we thank you guys for watching. We'll see you along the way.
Bye.